podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
It's July, it's Commonwealth Games month, and Team GB have also secured their first place at LA 2028. I'm John.
And I'm Michael. This is Anything But Footy, gearing up for Glasgow, but as the Olympic and Paralympic Sport podcast, we are also looking ahead to LA.
My name is Katie Sadlier. I am the Chief Executive of Commonwealth Sport.
Coming up, we'll hear from the head of Commonwealth Sport on Glasgow 2026 and what comes next. And in our news from the Games, we've the latest team announcements, who to look out for and when.
Hi, my name is Jade O Dowda and I do the heptathlon.
Plus, the IOC have announced $10,000 payments for appearances at the Olympics. And with details of England's women's cricket team booking a British spot for the Games in Los Angeles.
This is Anything But Footy. Download, listen, follow. We are gearing up for Glasgow and looking ahead to LA. So the Commonwealth Games latest to come, but we talk about the Olympics all the time, not once every 4 years. And you may know there's a World Cup going on. But we're not talking about the football one. The Women's 2020 World Cup is being staged at the moment in Birmingham, Manchester, Southampton, Bristol. Yeah, I didn't know either. But after about 740 days to go before LA 2028, the first qualification sport has been bagged for Team GB. Incredible. Yes, the women's competition in cricket has been announced, and it means that Great Britain, via England, Australia, India and South Africa have now qualified for the Los Angeles Olympics due to their performance at the World Cup that, as I say, is taking place currently in England. They are basically the highest place finishers from the Africa, Asia, Europe and Oceania continents, which were all guaranteed a spot. And the host nation will also have a place, so the USA will be there. But the sixth and final place for the Six Nation competition will be decided in a new ICC Olympics qualifier in 2027. So there will be a cricket playoff, if you like, to see who joins. So Team GB have got a women's spot. The men's is still up for grabs at the moment, but we assume that Team GB will be there. It's the same format for the men's competition as the women's. The teams are divided into groups of three. They will play each other once before playing two further matches against teams in the opposite group who did not finish in the same position. It's going to be quite complicated, but there's going to be lots of matches.
Is it just me, or is there always a World Cup cricket tournament taking place? At any moment in time, there is always some kind of World Cup cricket tournament taking place. Whether that is a Test match World Cup, whether that's a Women's World Cup, Men's World Cup, T20, there's always a Cricket World Cup taking place. Anyway, there's also going to be cricket at the Olympics, as we've been hearing, a combined total of 28 matches played across both men's and women's events. All matches will take place in a brand new purpose-built cricket venue in Pomona. Cricket last made an appearance back in the Olympic Games of Paris, 1900.
Wow.
And we know that qualification will be starting in other sports, including gymnastics and canoe slalom very shortly too. It is getting nearer. We are beginning to talk about LA 2028 and starting to put names on the team sheet. All this as the other big Olympic story recently, and that is the one I think we should discuss now. We haven't really had an opportunity to talk about it since it was announced, but payment of athletes. So we've been talking about this a lot, haven't we? Kirsty Coventry said no prize money for athletes. But now, for the first time in history, the IOC has agreed that every athlete at the Olympic Games will now be eligible for a $10,000, that's a US dollar grant, Fit for the Future Olympian grant, they're calling it. It's been set up to support the sporting career or the career transition of Olympians. So they've put 140 million US dollars aside per Olympics, and they are starting with the one in Milano Cortina and the Winter Games earlier on this year. So if you competed in Milano Cortina, you should be getting 10K dropping in your bank account at some point soon once you filled the forms out, from the sounds of it.
It was something that Kirsty Coventry wanted to do as she was elected as president last year. She wanted to give some money or provide more money for the athletes. I suppose the big question mark is, and we've tried to put a few kind of questions out to a few of the athletes we know about whether this is going to be enough. It feels like it's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't feel like it's going to solve anything. So we know that Ben Proud, for example, the Team GB sprint swimmer, decided that he wanted to go and compete in the enhanced games earlier this year because he wanted to earn more money than he could ever imagine, and had done in his previous Olympics. So is this going to stop the likes of Ben Proud going and racing for money in an event that we certainly don't think he should be? I'm not sure it is, but I do think that $10,000 is better than nothing, which is ultimately what they've been getting for years and years and years.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think step in the right direction is the correct phrase. But if you are, say, a Steve Redgrave or someone like that goes to 5 Olympics, you're essentially having a 24-year Olympic career, and you're earning $50,000 for it. I don't know about you, but with the cost of living, mortgages, energy bills, putting petrol in the car, it's a drop in the ocean. So it's right, and I'm sure it will be very, very helpful for some athletes. But it is not a living, is it? That is what these athletes are saying, is if we are the best on the planet, we should be able to earn a decent living. And a lot of the athletes that we know, including in Team GB, who, we have a great system with UK sport and funding in this country. Still not everyone is eligible for that UK sport funding. Some will be going there under Sport England or Sport Scotland or Sport Wales funding. Some will just be going there under their own steam.
It's not a reward either, is it? For less than 10 grand in pounds, as you say, if you went to 5 Olympics and you earned £40,000 over 20 years, it's not a reward for what you're doing. It is effectively a bit like expenses, isn't it? Is that a way of looking at it, as here's a bit to cover your costs type thing?
Yeah, I just wonder whether the IOC might be better served giving athletes more opportunities to monetize themselves during games time, because that is what we have heard time and time again is one of the big issues. So you would have an athlete who might be really well supported by some local sponsors, some local benefactors who fund these training camps, make sure the nutrition and the sports science is all available. And they don't get anything from that during games time when these athletes are at their most visible. And I think maybe that is a better solution, to say to some of these athletes, well, actually, you can do some stuff with personal sponsors, or you can do a little bit more during games time to raise your own profile outside of the remit of the top program or the National Olympic Committees. We know what a commercially minded organisation Team GB is, for example, with all their sponsors. It's going to be really difficult. I can't see that happening anytime soon. But I think if you were to speak to the athletes, actually, if they were able to have a nod to whatever it is, that car garage, that local business man or woman that supported them, that might be a better way of helping these people in the 3 years, 50 weeks when they don't have the spotlight.
And particularly because social media now is the way that so many of them make their presence known, gets them out and about. They use it throughout the year, as you say, not just at the Olympics. It's very hard, I think, to back in the day, you could control the image rights, and that's what the Olympics ultimately want to do. But I just don't think you can do that anymore. And I think that the more people grow up using the phones and being on social media, the more they don't understand these rules, and they don't understand why they can't, as you say, use pictures of themselves for purposes. One other thing I just thought was worth highlighting, it's typical IOC, isn't it, where they've come up with this amazing thing and it's like, right, we're handing this over to somebody else, they're going to run it, we don't want anything to do with it. So Team GB, for example, so British Olympic Association, will get given this amount of cash, and they have to deal with the grants, they have to then work out. So in effect, the national Olympic organizations, the NGBs, have to create a new way of making this work. And the whole point is that you're giving money the same to every athlete across the globe. But as we know, some NGBs, some NOCs are better organised than others. Is all this money really going to go to the athlete?
That is a concern that I have. I think, the Football World Cup is on at the minute, and FIFA distribute money to a lot of football associations across the world, but that money often doesn't filter down to the actual players. So we watched last night England playing the Democratic Republic of Congo. I think pretty much every member of that Congolese squad doesn't actually play in Congo. So the money that FIFA have distributed to the FA in the in that country hasn't actually gone to the players. It's gone to, I would say, maybe possibly the suits at the FA. And my worry here is that, and this, I wouldn't say this about Team GB, is that the money gets soaked up by national Olympic committees, many of who are very cash strapped themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that could be an issue moving forward. Anyway, talking moving forward, LA, it's only a couple of years away.
It's absolutely crazy, as you say. The fact that Team GB have already got their cricket slot booked for women. As we heard in the last episode as well, rumours are that Serena Williams wants to be in LA for the games. Her Wimbledon singles return didn't quite work out for her on centre court on Tuesday night, losing in 3 sets to 20-year-old Maya Joint of Australia in more than 2 hours on centre court. But she is back in doubles action. Well, we say she's back in double action. She might not be because of potential injury. She's got a bit of a knee tweak that happened during the match. She's a 44-year-old mum of 2, as we know. Certainly, if I was out playing tennis on centre court, I think I'd tweak more than my knee, to be brutally honest. But she should be there with Venus. And just on that, they have played Wimbledon doubles, ladies doubles, 6 times, and they've won it 6 times. They last won in 2016, and I'm told that they've had 14 major doubles finals, Venus and Serena, and they've won them 14 times. So they have a 100% record when they team up for doubles. Will we see Serena and Venus, 44-year-old and 46-year-old, on court? We will wait and see at Wimbledon. But yeah, it could also be, of course, a return to LA, as I mentioned. And I can't believe that the LA Games, we've got Glasgow to come, which we'll talk about in a moment, but the LA Games really are getting quite close, as you say, with gymnastics and canoe slalom. We've got a special coming up with them in the next couple of weeks. They're starting their qualification.
And after making its debut in Milano Cortina, it seems that ski mountaineering is here to stay in the Winter Games. I mean, it did capture the imagination. Anything that involves running up a snowy staircase, I think, should certainly be there, should be on the programme. It's been approved as an additional sport for the French Alps 2030 by the International Olympic Committee, but no way back for ski ballet, which I continue to miss as part of the programme.
Big changes then for the IOC, but what about Commonwealth sport as we head into Glasgow 2026 this month? We ask the top boss. This is Anything But Footy. That's coming up.
If your business runs on 5 different apps, 12 browser tabs, and 1 spreadsheet that everyone's afraid to touch, it's probably time for Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that connects every part of your business into one powerful, easy-to-use platform. So instead of wasting time switching between disconnected systems, your entire business works together in real time. Your team moves faster, your data stays accurate, and you can actually focus on growing your business. Let one unified system run your entire business. From the first opportunity to the final payment, everything works together in one place. Whether you're a small business or managing a large operation, Odoo gives you one flexible platform built to grow with you. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Covering the Olympics and the Paralympic Games all the time, this is Anything But Footy.
And we're gearing up for Glasgow 2026, and the Commonwealth Games is now this month. Yes, more than 3,000 athletes from 74 nations and territories, 11 days of world-class sport, the biggest para-sport programme ever, the largest track cycling and swimming events too.
It's amazing to think, isn't it? I think I'm not claiming that we had a hand in saving the Commonwealth Games, but we had lots of conversations with lots of people following the withdrawal of Victoria, and we helped a couple of people, individuals, a couple of organisations come up with some plans or some ideas for how to save the games that were meant to be in Australia, the games that Glasgow rescued. And it's amazing to think now it is just around the corner from those initial chats with some of the people that had been involved with Glasgow 2014. And, you know, we were able to use the podcast to put forward some ideas and to formulate some sort of plans about how these games might look, the slimmed down, more cost-effective Commonwealth Games. And now it's here, and maybe it's the future as well for games moving forward. We do have a 2030 host city. It's going to be in India. We are told that the sport programme will increase back up to 17 sports. So suddenly the Commonwealth Games is relevant again. And it's very relevant, I think, from an Olympics point of view, because you know that India will be using 2030 in those Commonwealth Games as a way of showing the IOC what it can do for a future Olympic bid. And John has been speaking to Commonwealth Sports CEO, Katie Sadlier.
Glasgow 2026, how important is it for the Commonwealth sport movement?
This is a pivotal event for our movement. We're certainly, Glasgow is a new era in terms of where we're going. You know, we've spent quite a bit of time thinking through how do we position our games so it's fit for purpose for the future. And Glasgow and working with the team at Glasgow have enabled us to do that.
How easy has it been? Because it's, less than 2 years?
Less than 2 years, absolutely. So that's hard. I mean, but you know, the beauty of Glasgow is that it's an event city. It has hosted so many amazing events. So it has a lot of talent to draw on in terms of been there, done that, in terms of event execution. So from that perspective, you know, they were starting ahead of the game.
And what's the response been like around the rest of the Commonwealth that Glasgow stepped up?
My goodness, you know, I mean, Glasgow stepped up at a time where, you know, we were facing a really interesting future. You know, we have our 100 years celebration coming up in 2030, and that is incredibly important for us. Glasgow coming up and sort of saying that we can actually deliver this for you meant that everyone saw what we could put in place in terms of a bridge to the 2030 Games. They are so excited about coming to Glasgow. You know, I've been looking at sort of the socials from the Kenyans and the Nigerians and the Welsh teams. You know, some of them have been to Glasgow before in the 2014 Games, but those who have not are absolutely thrilled to be here in a month's time.
Because it's really important moving forward that the Commonwealth Games doesn't just bounce back between England and Australia or Scotland and England, etc.
Yeah, and we launched a strategy a few years ago which talked about our commitment to take the Commonwealth Games around the Commonwealth. And that was really critical. So that was the thinking behind how do you reimagine and reset the Games and take it into something that is fit for purpose and that people could be attracted and interested in hosting. And that has worked. You know, when we worked with Glasgow to pull together a Games which is a $160 million event, which is a significant reduction from the Birmingham Games. That is right-sized, and right away, you know, we went then into our bid process for the 2030 Games, and we had 5 countries put up their hands, say, hey, we're in. So it's proven that people are interested in this. We're having a future host observation program during Glasgow, and we have got many potential hosts coming to actually learn from Glasgow and how they can do this themselves in their home.
We know India is going to stage the next Games in 2030, but is it fair to say that Birmingham 2022 will never happen again, the like?
In terms of that size and scale is definitely a decision that we have taken as a movement that we don't want to be positioned as a mini Olympics. We are something that is different. We really value our diverse global membership of small island states and large countries like India, but we want to make sure that we have a Games that is achievable to host around the Commonwealth.
But more sports will be coming back for India because there's only 10 in Glasgow.
Yes, they will. So, I mean, you know, as we said earlier, it was a very short time frame for Glasgow to put on this Games, but there will be 17 sports in Ahmedabad, so we will go back up to around that size, and we think that's a good size in terms of what that will cost and scale.
You, in your press conference earlier, said fit for the future, which is a phrase that your counterpart at the Olympics, Kirsty Coventry, is using as they're moving forward. Could the Olympics learn something from the Commonwealth movement?
No, I was fortunate to have the time. I guess it must have been 3 weeks ago. I was down in New Zealand at the Oceania National Olympic Committee, and I spent a week with Kirsty. And, you know, we have so many things that are common in terms of some of the challenges and opportunities that face multi-sport events. And I know that with her on board and our new president from Uganda, we look forward to working much more closely with the IOC movement so that we can learn and share what's actually going on in terms of the multi-sport environment.
So to finish with, Glasgow 2026, what can we expect?
Passion from the people, exciting performances from the athletes. What do we talk? We talk about greatness and some incredibly special new raw talent that will be launched on a world stage.
Well, we wish you all the best and we'll see you in Glasgow.
Thank you. See you there.
So Katie Sadlier and myself talking about the Commonwealth Games, talking about what Glasgow is going to bring to them, the fact that they've turned this around within 18 months. And as you say, it's here. And this is what we've been building up to. And it feels, and I think from speaking to a lot of the athletes that we have, and you'll hear them, of course, as the days and weeks go on, but they're all so pleased that it's happening. And I think we forget that there will be a lot of people who say this is irrelevant. The BBC have said it. They said they don't want to cover it this year. It's not as important anymore. But for these athletes, the swimmers, the cyclists, the bowls, whoever, whatever your sport is, the judokas, they just want to be there and they want to represent England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And I think that's the thing we sometimes forget.
And the likes of Jersey, Guernsey, Isle of Man. I mean, for Alistair Chalmers, who's a history-making Guernsey athlete, I mean, how many opportunities will he have to compete for Guernsey? Not many. It's the Commonwealth Games. And I think it's always the athletes that I think we need to focus on at these things. We need to put them centre stage. And the new Glasgow, the new Commonwealth Games blueprint does put those athletes centre stage. I think actually from an athlete point of view, a compact games, I think it's going to be a good experience. It's not spread out. I remember obviously in Birmingham, didn't see any track cycling because it was in London.
Yeah.
And even the footprint of the Birmingham, the Midlands games was quite wide. It has to be to get everything in that they wanted to get in. But this feels really good. So I think there'll be a real feel-good factor in Glasgow, not just from the people of Glasgow, but from those taking part and those involved in the organisation.
In our news from the Glasgow Games, reigning champion Katerina Johnson-Thompson's confirmed she will compete in the heptathlon, looking for a hat-trick of gold Commonwealth Games medals. The Paris 2024 silver medalist, of course, in the Olympics, was top of the podium for Team England in Birmingham and somewhere like the Gold Coast, I think.
Yeah, I remember interviewing her, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, on the beach.
Are you sure you did?
Yeah. I think there's a photo. I'll dig it out.
If you could, that would be great, because I don't think you've mentioned it. But she faces the likes of World Championship medalist Kate O'Connor from Northern Ireland later this month as well. It should be a great competition. And we're also delighted to say that Jade O Dowda is back after winning bronze in Birmingham for Team England as well.
It's great. It's such an honour. My first, actual senior championships was the Commonwealth Games in 2022. So holds a lot of great memories. It just means such a lot to be able to do it for a second time. And
it was a great performance in Birmingham in 2022.
It was. I think I was quite naive going into, I was obviously 22, and it was my first time. So I was really just going there to soak up everything as well and to come away with a medal. And I think at the time, I can't quite remember the exact score, but it was very, very close to my PB at the time. So I remember being also really proud of myself, and to come away with a little bit of shiny silverware was cherry on top.
And obviously, just behind Katerina Johnson-Thompson and Kate O'Connor, of course, who's gone on to win world medals as well on that podium. In some ways, Jade, was the pressure off then? And is there more pressure on this event this time because you've had that experience before?
Yeah, I think potentially in a way the pressure was off the first time round, but I think I do a pretty good job of being the person that puts the pressure on myself the most. I'm the one person where the pressure comes from. But also I think there's the saying that pressure is a privilege, and I think that it's a good spot to be in. I think I know my capabilities and what I can do. And I think having that extra bit of pressure does almost, I try sort of, in a way, this might sound silly, but convert it into like adrenaline a little bit, and knowing that the nerves are good and they're important and what you need. So I think, yes, I sort of think there is maybe slightly more pressure, but in a way, there's never going to be more pressure than what I put on myself. And I want to go out there and perform for everyone and do the best that I can. And I think that's all I'll be thinking of, to execute the things that I know I have to do for each event. And by succeeding in that, hopefully that gets me a good score. And then whatever the score is then hopefully enough to get me on the podium, but also knowing that there's some pretty fierce competition. So not to get too caught up in it and just do the best that I can do.
And of course, the heptathlon in this country, England, whether it's England or Great Britain, has such great heritage. Jess Ennis-Hill, Denise Lewis, Katerina Johnson-Thompson, I mentioned earlier as well. What's it like being part of that kind of heritage?
I mean, I was your typical 2012 kid. I was sat in front of the TV, watching it all, especially Super Saturday. And that's actually what made me ask my parents to take me down to the track. So I think, I'm somebody that's been inspired by the people before me. And I think I've said before a few times, I've been actually so lucky the past few years that I've had a front row seat to it. I've been able to be in the combined events room that nobody sees in between the events with Kat. And, you just sort of absorb it all in. And I think she probably doesn't realize how much I've taken from that and been able to, use in my own sort of competition and lifestyle and stuff. And it obviously is really inspiring to see how successful these people have been. And I've been the one that's had a front row seat. So yeah, it's obviously such a great legacy that Great Britain or England, whoever, have had. And so it is, feels a bit weird when you say to be a part of that and stuff. There is a gap. Like I'm trying my best to be up there with the huge scores that they have. But yeah, it feels a bit weird, but also such an honour.
That's Jade O Dowda going for gold in Glasgow 2026. Talking to John now. Let's run through some other names for you. Daryl Neater, Amy Hunt, Louis Hinchliffe, all will be competing for Team England in the 100 metres. Zarnell Hughes, by the way, just down for the 200 metres. Dina Asher-Smith, Matt Hudson-Smith, good to see both of them there. They're both going to be competing, as Dina told us recently on the podcast, in just the relays. So that will be the 4x100, and for Matt Hudson-Smith, the 4x400, the mixed relay. There's no men's and women's 4x400. It's a mixed 4x4.
7 men and 7 women have been named by Team England for the boxing competition, including Team GB fighter Chantel Reid, who won bronze at the World Championships in Liverpool last year and aiming for a place in the LA Games, of course. She's competing in her first Commonwealth Games.
Double Olympic medalist and reigning Commonwealth Games champion Emily Campbell is back for Team England. She'll be in the weightlifting, carried the flag, of course, for England in Birmingham in 2022 at the opening ceremony.
And the Australian Commonwealth Games team for the 2026 Glasgow Games has now all been confirmed and sent off, and they are on their way. The Aussies are sending a 257-strong team, more women than men, and they are competing for 151 of 215 gold medals available. And with the Brisbane Olympics not that far away, not quite as near as LA, but not that far away, like you said, with India and the Commonwealth Games in 2030, certainly the Australians using these Commonwealth Games to show, bring on some new talent and really show that they are getting ready for those Olympics.
And I would say from that 151 gold medal chances that Australia have got, maybe 1 in 3, 1 in 4 will win that gold medal. When we look at the overall medal table at the end, I think Australia will top that medal table.
Yeah, I think England, Australia, maybe Canada as well have obviously got a very strong team.
And Scotland.
And Scotland being at home as well. So we will see that. We are gearing up for Glasgow. Make sure you stay with us. We've got a catch up with the Great British Boss coming up in our next episode. So stay with us for that. You can check out all the latest news from Wimbledon and all the Glasgow build up and LA as well on our socials. You can get in touch via the website. You can also message if you want to give us your opinion on the $10,000 for the Olympic athletes by, if you're listening on Spotify, you can message us on that, or you can message us any other way that you like. This is Anything But Footy, the Olympic and Paralympic sport podcast, gearing up for Glasgow and looking ahead to LA.